I stopped asking the dark for permission. It never learned how to listen anyway. Every word I held back grew teeth and waited quietly behind my ribs. You left without closing the door, so the wind kept practicing your voice. I learned the sound of absence. It's sharper when nothing is missing. Time didn't move forward. It circled the same thought with cleaner hands. I trusted silence like a witness. It remembered everything but spoke to no one. You said later like it was a promise. Later turned out to be a place with no address. I watched meaning thin out, the way breath disappears on cold glass. Some nights I stayed awake, not for you, but for what I became after. The room learned my posture. Stillness shaped itself around my shoulders. I didn't break, I redistributed. Pain found new rooms to live in. Your name lost its weight when I stopped carrying it carefully. Explaining myself to memory. It only edits what it wants to keep. The truth didn't arrive loudly. It settled like dust on unused furniture. I mistook endurance for healing, but survival is not the same as release. I let go without ceremony. Some endings don't deserve an audience. How quiet can be exact when it finally tells the truth. I no longer wait for clarity. It comes when it wants, not when it's called. Regret faded into understanding. Understanding didn't ask to be forgiven. I stopped building conclusions out of fragments that never agreed. What we were became a distance, not tragic, just unrepeatable. I learned how to stand without leaning. Balance is a language you learn alone. Nothing left to answer now, because the question no longer owns me. What remains isn't empty. Simply finished speaking. We talked until language thinned out, until meaning couldn't carry its own weight. Your sentences arrived unfinished, like bridges built only halfway across. I learned how noise disguises itself by pretending to be connection. We fill the space with explanations, but none of them touch the core. Silence didn't scare me anymore. It just became more precise than speech. You heard what you needed to hear. I heard what I could survive. Every pause grew heavier than the words placed around it. Stop correcting your version. Truth doesn't improve through repetition. Oh. The room echoed differently that night, as if walls remembered something we didn't. You spoke in certainty, I listened in fragments. Clarity tried to enter, but got stuck between intention and delivery. Yeah. I noticed how often we spoke just to avoid saying the one thing. Your voice softened when you lied, mine hardened when I understood. We weren't arguing anymore, we were negotiating distance. Meaning slipped through emphasis, like water through tightened fists. I trusted tone more than content, it rarely contradicted itself. We built conclusions too early before the evidence learned how to speak. You wanted resolution, I wanted accuracy. The static grew louder whenever honesty approached. I stopped leaning into explanations, they bent under their own complexity. You mistook calm for agreement, I mistook patience for hope. Words lost their function when intent stopped backing them. I learned how misunderstanding survives by repeating itself confidently. We reached the end without noticing, because nothing formally ended. What remains is unfinished sound, static between words still humming. I don't replay the conversation anymore, it no longer changes its outcome. Some truths don't arrive clean, they arrive exhausted. I didn't lose my voice, I just stopped offering it freely. What we said doesn't matter now, only what we couldn't say. The static finally faded when I stopped listening for you. I didn't leave because it hurt, I stayed because it almost didn't. There's a quiet cost to remain, and it charges interest every night. I measured time by hesitation, by how long it took to answer honestly. The room learned my footsteps before I decided where to go. Staying felt productive, like pain with a schedule. I told myself endurance was depth, but depth doesn't always ask you to drown. Every day I stay, something smaller learned how to disappear. Not all exits are dramatic, some close politely behind you. I became fluent in postponing. Tomorrow sounded safer than now. You called it loyalty, I called it unfinished courage. The way wasn't sudden, it accumulated like dust on intention. I watched myself compromise slowly, so it wouldn't look like surrender. Staying required explanations, leaving required clarity. I mastered the art of almost moving, of rehearsing freedom silently. Nothing collapsed around me, which made leaving feel unjustified. I confuse stability with truth, they don't always share a border. The longer I stayed, the heavier staying became. I started carrying moments instead of letting them pass. You thought presence meant belief, I was just standing still. Staying taught me patience, but it forgot to teach me direction. I learned how comfort can restrain without ever touching you. There's a gravity to familiarity, it pulls hardest when you hesitate. I stopped asking what I wanted because the answer required motion. Staying became my language, fluency without meaning. I wasn't trapped by you, I was anchored by repetition. Leaving didn't feel brave, it felt overdue. I didn't run from anything, I finally stopped standing in its way. The weight lifted quietly when I took one honest step. Staying was never the strength, knowing when to move was I was up. Nothing here was breaking, it just wasn't breathing anymore. I kept repairing silences that never asked for fixing. Some things survive too long because no one dares to stop holding them. I mistook responsibility for meaning. They look similar when you're tired. You waited for reassurance, I waited for permission to leave. The quiet between us stayed intact because we never touched it honestly. I learned how to preserve moments long after they stopped wanting preservation. There's a cruelty in maintenance when life is already gone. I defended what didn't resist as if resistance was required for truth. You called it commitment, I called it careful avoidance. Nothing collapsed, which made departure seem unnecessary. But absence doesn't need destruction, it only needs recognition. I stay useful so I wouldn't have to be sincere. Saving something can become control when you refuse to let it in. I confuse patience with denial, they share the same posture. We protected the shape of us after the substance quietly left. No one asked me to stay, I volunteered out of habit. The effort became ceremonial, movement without consequence. I held space for a future that had already changed its mind. Letting go felt irresponsible until holding on felt dishonest. I realized preservation is not love when it costs both sides their breath. Some things end politely, without ever asking for drama. I stopped rescuing what was stable and started listening to what was gone. Release wasn't abandonment, it was accuracy. I didn't save anything, I simply stepped aside. What never asked to be saved finally had room to disappear. And in that absence, something honest remained. Silence didn't arrive suddenly, it waited until I stopped interrupting it. I used to fill rooms with explanations so I wouldn't hear myself clearly. Quiet as a patience noise can't afford, it lets you finish lying first. Nothing accused me, which made the truth harder to ignore. The pauses grew longer because I stopped rushing to justify them. I learned that quiet doesn't erase things, it outlines them more precisely. Every unanswered question began answering itself. I thought clarity would feel loud, it arrived almost politely. The room stopped reacting and started reflecting instead. I heard what I had avoided, not in words but in weight. Quiet doesn't persuade, it simply remains available. I noticed how often I spoke to delayed understanding. When I stopped narrating myself, my intentions became visible. Silence revealed patterns I had decorated with excuses. The absence of response became the most accurate feedback. I wasn't confronted, I was finally overheard by myself. Quiet didn't comfort me, it stabilized me. I saw where I had been bending to fit something already shrinking. The less I explained, the more I understood. Quiet doesn't rush conclusions, it waits for alignment. I felt exposed without sound, but not unprotected. Nothing demanded resolution, which allowed one to form naturally. I stopped performing coherence, and coherence appeared anyway. Quiet separated habit from need. Without raising its voice, I realized how much I talked to avoid choosing. Silence didn't ask questions, it removed distractions. What I heard wasn't new, it was uninterrupted. Quiet didn't change my mind, it clarified where it already stood. The moment I listened, movement became obvious. Quiet didn't speak loudly, it spoke last. And when it finally spoke, there was nothing left to argue. I stopped reaching before I noticed. My hands learned stillness on their own. Distance didn't grow between us, it settled inside my posture. I told myself restraint was maturity, it was mostly fear with manners. Now reaching felt clean, like leaving fingerprints nowhere. I practiced absence carefully, so it wouldn't look like withdrawal. The one didn't disappear, it learned how to stand quietly. I watched opportunities pass without calling it loss. There's a discipline in not reaching that feels like control. But control has a hollow center, it echoes when you lean on it. I convinced myself desire was optional, because admitting it required risk. Not reaching spared me rejection, and also spared me arrival. I mastered the pause before action, and forgot the action itself. Every almost became familiar, familiar enough to feel safe. I told myself timing mattered, when courage was the variable. The shape of my life adjusted around things I didn't touch. I called it patience, but patience still leans forward. Not reaching kept things intact, including the distance. I avoided disturbance and also avoided change. Nothing resisted me because I never applied pressure. I learned how to admire from afar and confuse that with contentment. The world doesn't close doors quietly, we step back first. I thought restraint meant wisdom until nothing arrived to confirm it. Not reaching made me invisible to outcomes that required presence. I preserved potential perfectly by never testing it. The cost was subtle, paid in unlived sequences. I noticed how often I waited for certainty to appear uninvited. Desire doesn't demand guarantees, it only asks participation. Not reaching kept me balanced, but balance without motion stagnates. I realized comfort can be static without ever feeling dull. The shape of not reaching fit me too well. It took effort to extend again. My hands hesitate before believing. When I finally reached, nothing dramatic happened, but something aligned that had been waiting quietly. Not reaching was never safety, it was delayed honesty. And reaching didn't save me, it simply placed me accurately. Nothing held me here except the way I learned to stay. There were no locked doors, only habits pretending to be walls. I kept waiting for resistance as proof that leaving mattered, but nothing argued back when I imagined going. The room didn't tighten, it remained exactly the same. I confused familiarity with gravity. It felt heavier than it was. No one asked me to remain. I answered a question no one raised. I stayed because it was possible, not because it was necessary. There's a comfort in being expected, even when expectation is silent. I mistook continuity for purpose because purpose would have demanded movement. Nothing chased me, which made departure feel excessive. I learned how to settle without ever arriving. The stillness didn't threaten me, it simply repeated itself. I told myself I was choosing, but repetition had already decided. Nothing collapsed behind me when I stepped away and thought. The absence of consequence became its own answer. I realized staying was effortless. That's what made it suspicious. Nothing required courage here, only endurance. I watched days stack neatly without ever forming direction. I stayed because leaving felt like an unnecessary disturbance. But nothing grows undisturbed forever, it just stops announcing itself. I waited for a sign, ignoring that hesitation was one. Nothing held me here, except the story I kept telling myself. I believe staying proved depth, but depth can exist in motion too. I practiced remaining neutral until neutrality felt like erasure. The place didn't change me, I adjusted myself instead. Nothing resisted my exit, because nothing needed me present. That's when I understood belonging doesn't feel this quiet. I stepped forward without ceremony, no break, no damage. Nothing followed me, and that was the clearest permission. I wasn't pulled away, I simply stopped standing still. Nothing held me here, and I finally listened. Leaving wasn't dramatic, it was accurate. I didn't escape, I aligned. Nothing was lost, except the habit of staying. And in that release, I felt my weight return. I didn't announce the moment, I let it pass like breath. Leaving didn't ask for witnesses, it only asked for honesty. There was no final sentence, just a decision that stopped repeating itself. I packed nothing visible, only what I had been carrying too long. The floor didn't shift when I chose differently. I expected resistance, but accuracy rarely fights back. Leaving was quieter than staying. That's what surprised me. No doors slammed, no versions of me argue. I stepped out of a pattern, not a place. Nothing begged me to return, which felt like confirmation. I realized how much noise I had mistaken for attachment. The silence followed me briefly, then stayed behind. Leaving didn't feel like loss, it felt like subtraction. I didn't take explanations, they were too heavy anyway. The air changed immediately, as if it had been waiting. I thought leaving would feel sharp, it felt clean instead. No one noticed the timing, which made it mine. I didn't rewrite history, I simply stopped extending it. Leaving was an escape, it was alignment in motion. I had rehearsed staying for years, leaving needed no practice. Nothing dramatic happened, because truth rarely performs. I crossed an invisible line that had always been there. The past didn't reach for me, it remained intact. I understood then that staying had been the loud part. Leaving required less effort, because it matched what I knew. I didn't disappear, I reappeared elsewhere. No echoes followed me, only space. I left without making a sound, because I no longer needed noise. The quiet felt complete, not empty. Leaving didn't close anything, it opened accuracy. I didn't walk away angry, I walked forward finished. The moment didn't announce itself, but it was final. I left without making a sound, and everything stayed honest. I didn't announce the moment, I let it pass like breath. Leaving didn't ask for witnesses, it only asked for honesty. There was no final sentence, just a decision that stopped repeating itself. I packed nothing visible, only what I had been carrying too long. The floor didn't shift when I chose differently. I expected resistance, but accuracy rarely fights back. Leaving was quieter than staying. That's what surprised me. No doors slammed, no versions of me argued. I stepped out of a pattern, not a place. Nothing begged me to return, which felt like confirmation. I realized how much noise I had mistaken for attachment. The silence followed me briefly, then stayed behind. Leaving didn't feel like loss, it felt like subtraction. I didn't take explanations, they were too heavy anyway. The air changed immediately, as if it had been waiting. I thought leaving would feel sharp, it felt clean instead. No one noticed the timing, which made it mine. I didn't rewrite history, I simply stopped extending it. Leaving was an escape, it was alignment in motion. I had rehearsed staying for years, leaving needed no practice. Nothing dramatic happened, because truth rarely performs. I crossed an invisible line that had always been there. The past didn't reach for me, it remained intact. I understood then that staying had been the loud part. Leaving required less effort because it matched what I knew. I didn't disappear, I reappeared elsewhere. No echoes followed me, only space. I left without making a sound, because I no longer needed noise. The quiet felt complete, not empty. Leaving didn't close anything, it opened accuracy. I didn't walk away angry, I walked forward finished. The moment didn't announce itself, but it was final. I left without making a sound, and everything stayed on.